what's your opinion on pickup? Would you like categorize what you do as pickup as, say?
That's a very good question, and here's my opinion on pickup. I can't badmouth pickup. It's hard for me to do that because that's where I started, and that's and a lot of the techniques and things like that they do work and they do produce results. Now, my only the problem that I found with pickup in my experience in it is actually twofold. Number one is that pickup gives you a shell. You end up becoming someone that you're not.
Mm.
All those tips, tricks, and lines, they're not your words. They're not your stories. And you're becoming someone, you're putting on a shell, you're putting on a facade. Which leads me to my second point, my second problem that I didn't like with it is that with pickup, they only teach you how to meet her and get her phone number. After that, it doesn't tell you anything about how to set up a date, how to make a fun date. What do you do when you are 4 dates in? How do you keep the spice and the passion going 3 months down the road, 6 months down the road? How do you handle problems when you guys come into your first disagreement? How do you not let your ego get in the way and potentially lose out on a great woman? And so that was my problem with it. And that's where I step in. That's where I kind of see myself is a dating and relationship coach, where I look at the whole spectrum of the relationship from the moment you meet to 6 months down the road, because it is a different set of skills. Here's a beautiful thing that people don't understand, right? The skills that you develop to meet her, get her attracted to you, are the different set of skills that you have 6 months down the road when you have to have her fall in love with you again. It's a different set of skills that no one talks about, and that's where also I come in. And the all in all, where my whole style comes from, if you will, is the way to fix that problem, the problem of not of showing up as a shell, and how to deal with problems in a relationship 6 months down the road. The way to solve that is by focusing less on the techniques and the words, but more focusing on the characteristics, behaviors, feelings, thoughts, and ways of being that produced those words and stories. And so then that way, you're the same person on day one as you are 6 months down the road. And so you're still charming, you're still funny, you're still doing the same jokes. You don't have to try to remember, like, oh, wait, what did I say before? Because it's not story. It's who you naturally are. I mean, a prime example of this is, it's funny what I say is that, so one common technique within pickup is the idea of DHV stories, or identity telling stories, which are stories that are meant to convey a personality trait of yours. Now, when people start off, sometimes they go ahead and repeat stories that they've heard from other people because it's worked. But then later on down the road, when she finds out those stories aren't yours, your value points just goes down the drain. Now, myself, again, it's about being the type of person that naturally does it because it comes from my behavior, my way of being. When I first met my girlfriend, we would trade stories back and forth. And one of the stories that I would tell would be like, oh yeah, my previous job, I was a program director for an international mastermind company where I put on conferences for CEOs and entrepreneurs all across the country, Canada. And it was really fun because I got to meet a lot of people. And that story, it's not a lie. It's really my life. And so I'm showing up authentically. And that creates a stronger a stronger connection than any shell of a pickup line will.
Because that was also my issue with, I dabbled in pickup for a while, was the initial kind of negging techniques, routines. It just felt fake. It was like it wasn't. And girls pick up on that straight away, or like even other people. They know you're talking out your arse. They know that the energy's wrong. That there's a fakeness behind it. But when I finally found, I think it was Aristide Max's stuff about you're the prize, making yourself the natural. It kind of went, oh right, you can do this, and that's what I love about your stuff as well. It's you work on the behaviors of it. You work on like making you a better person to attract the lady. But how do you even start that? Because a lot of guys would start pickup and they like the routines and stuff like that because they don't believe they deserve women. They don't even believe
Mm,
that they can attract women.
mm,
How do you even start going through a mental roadblock like that, where somebody doesn't even feel themselves or even know who they are as a person to start attracting people? That must be such a mental, well, nightmare. Like nightmare for people who a don't know who they are, and b can't accept that they could be happy, meet people, date around, whatever it is they want. How do you work
mm.
with somebody to get through that?
Well, that's actually a common thing, which is why guys turn to pickup and they never leave it, in my opinion. And the reason for that is because deep down, they don't truly believe that they're worthy of the women that they want. And that worthiness actually has nothing to do with women at all. It actually has to do with, their own feelings of self-worth. And what I would do is I would have a conversation with them, and then through my line of questioning, help them realize and try to help them find out where did that start. Because I guarantee you that feeling of not being worthy does not only apply to their love life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to bet also that that also applies to their professional life, to their friends. I guarantee that they won't take opportunities, or maybe they self sabotage because deep down they don't feel worthy enough. And so then the issue is not just with women, like I said, it's an all around thing. And what I would do is just talk with them and ask, okay, when was the first time that you realized you weren't worthy, that you learned you weren't worthy? 10 times out of 10, probably sometime in childhood. Something happened where, possibly mom and dad, they wanted something. Or you know what? Perfect example. Let's take myself, for instance, because it's something that I struggled with. And I recall being younger. And I remember because I played baseball a lot when I was younger. And I remember when I would do well, oh, you did so great, gives you big hugs. Oh my God, you're the best. When I did poorly, it'd be a quiet ride home. And the message that I internalized was, I'm only worthy of love if I achieve things. And so that was the message throughout my whole life. And it carried over to my interactions with women. I wouldn't approach certain women and have conversations with them because in my head I would think, oh, I haven't achieved enough in my life to be worthy enough to talk to her. And I missed out on a whole lot of opportunities because of that. And so to give you the short answer, the way to get past that or to better deal with it is to realize, one, your current framework of worthiness is based on the fact that your worthiness is dependent on something outside of you, meaning your achievements, meaning your looks, meaning your finances. And any system where it's depending on something outside of yourself is not a productive system. It is the equivalent of depending on the weather. And what's going to happen is that you are then going to be at the whims of that thing that's outside of you. And to live your life with something else having power over you is not a great way to live. So the solution is shift that power from outside internally. Shift that sense of worthiness from something outside of you to inside of you. And what I would tell people is just to redefine it so you can set up the game to win. And what for me, it's always I define for me my worthiness not by the results, but by the choices that I make. Because I feel like your choices, that's within your control. If you make the choice to go up and talk to a woman, you are infinitely the man, so to speak, than the guy who doesn't talk to her at all. Even if she, even if she quote unquote rejects you, you are still better off because you made the choice. And just the choice alone says a lot about a man than anything else. And that's my belief.